your favorite delivery app.
Ask people around here what their favorite season is. Everyone, I bet, will say fall. Ask them why, and 3 out of 4, I bet, will say the Prater's Mill Country Fair. It's coming up again this October. Mikey Sims, Kelly Harrell are back getting us ready for how many years this year?
50 years.
50 years of the fair. So, Valerie, you are kind of a jack of all trades, I'm going to call you. You're a Renaissance woman. This is Valerie Silva, who is a teacher at Notre Dame High School here in town. I did not realize that you had this hidden talent. Should not surprise me because you're a history lover and quite the artist yourself. You'll have a booth there at the fair.
Yeah, I've had a booth since 2005, and I remember going to the fair when I was a little kid and just thinking it was the coolest thing in the world, and I never thought I would actually get to be a vendor there, but we started making jewelry several years ago, and about 6-7 years ago I started collecting ancient coins, and it just started as a collection for myself since I love history and I love teaching history. And I just bought so many of them, I figured I need to start making jewelry with these.
I want to get into the jewelry in just a second, but it ties in nicely that it's a love of history that brings you into the jewelry making. Y'all clearly, Kelly and Mikey, have loved and continue to celebrate the history of Prater's Mill. And in part, it was that romance of the mill that you loved bringing back to life 50 years ago, right?
Yes, And we're using the phrase history is priceless, celebrating 50 years of historic preservation at Prater's Mill.
And
it's a labor of love.
It's a labor of love, and your families have been involved in this kind of arm in arm for all these years.
50 years.
So when you see people like Valerie come into your circle saying, I was a kid going to the fair there and now I get to come and be a vendor. That's right. But that's part of what it's all about. It's a celebration of community, old and new.
Yeah,
right?
we're the next generation.
And actually, the Meadows Mill that they used to grind the corn now up there belonged to my great-grandfather.
No kidding.
He sold it, I think, in the 40s. And I never knew about that until I saw an article in the paper when they were first put that mill back into the old mill building, saying it belonged to Henry Ridley. And I thought, that's my great-grandfather. So I investigated and talked to one of his daughters, and she said, yeah, Papa sold his mill back then. So now there's a picture of my grandmother and all her siblings next to it hanging in the mill.
We can't grind enough mill during the fair, so we get it pre-ground. And then we also grind some during the fair so you can see how it's ground.
Really?
And we have samples of grits and the flour and the meal, just all the different things that we make.
And is that available for purchase at the fair?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about the art that you bring, because I think one of the things, and y'all can jump in, Mikey, if I'm wrong, but you and Kelly try really hard to make sure that the vendors who are there aren't duplicates. You try to have a variety, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're not going to find anybody doing what Valerie's doing.
No, Judy started, when she started this, everything had to be handmade out of natural materials by the artist. So we still use that criteria. We don't duplicate food items at all or exact crafts, so we won't have anybody making coin jewelry.
So this is a different coin jewelry than you're thinking of, though. How ancient are these coins?
Well, these are authentic coins that were dug out of the ground in Europe from hoards, because the Romans buried their coins. They didn't have banks, and a lot of times those coins would stay buried for the next several hundred or thousands of years. So the one I'm wearing right now is a coin that was minted during the time of the Emperor Probus, who late 3rd century, I think.
So it's a 1,700-year-old coin.
Yes, 1,700-year-old coin. And so what I do, I buy them, for the most part, uncleaned, and then I clean them up. And
I'll hold it in my hand. You can put it right there.
And then I was taught how to identify the coins, so I use this book to identify coins, and if I can identify them, if I find them in the book, then I polish them up, and they come with a ID sheet here, so you can...
So you know what you have.
So you can tell people about who who's on your necklace.
Okay, the more I'm looking at this, Valerie, the more interested I'm becoming. So here you are, a Spanish teacher, a language lover. Am I looking, are those Roman numerals that I'm seeing, or are they just letters?
They're letters, and it says Sol Invicto. So this is the Emperor Gallienus, and it's got a tribute to Sol Invictus.
I'm not wanting you to give away your trade secrets, but how is it that you're cleaning them?
I use a Dremel with a steel brush.
So that must be very time consuming for you, because you don't want to do anything to damage the
They're
marking.
actually very durable. I mean, this has been buried in mud and stuff for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Isn't
and
that
it
amazing?
survived that, so it can survive a Dremel.
Now, some of them you can't clean, but you don't discard those.
Right. So the ones that are uncleanable or that have been damaged too much by their hundreds of years in the soil, I turn into earrings.
Now, you have to talk about the name of the company. It's the Venerable Beaders.
Right. It's a pun that a lot of people don't get. The Venerable Bede was a medieval historian of England, I think 9th century. So it's just a little history lover's pun.
So when people come to your booth at Prater's Mill, I'm guessing that they end up talking history with you while they're shopping.
Some of them do, and those are the people I love talking to, and that's why I only just do the fairs. I don't have a website or anything, because I love talking to people, and I'll just stand there all day and talk to people about this. And a lot of people don't realize how common it is to have these coins that, people will say, oh, shouldn't this be in a museum? And they don't realize that, there's billions, if not trillions, of these coins in existence.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I would have thought the same thing.
Right.
And which is why I was a little bit shocked when I saw the pricing of your pieces. I mean, you talk about getting an early start on Christmas. It's a one of a kind, literally, that you'll be taking home, and the price point is great.
I don't have anything more than $65, I think. My earrings are $20 a pair.
Very, very fun. So, Mikey, y'all always choose, don't you, the second weekend in October, because the weather's the most perfect that weekend?
Columbus Day weekend.
Columbus Day weekend.
Well, the government changed Columbus Day, so it's not always Columbus Day weekend, but it's the second full weekend in October. It happens to be Columbus Day.
Do
this
you
year.
buy, I can't remember, do you buy a ticket, an entry ticket in, or is it
We
free?
take cash at the gate. You can also buy tickets on our website at pratersmill.org/fair. And you can text to get the link while you're in line to get, if you don't have cash.
It is such a fun event, and when you go, make sure you find Valerie's booth. It's called the Venerable Beater. Will there be some Renaissance type music playing around?
No, but there'll be people clogging, and Rocky Top plays about every 10 minutes.
So you can find them. Well, great to see you both. Congratulations on 50 years. Thanks for sharing some of your nostalgic pictures and on keeping your friendship together when you've worked alongside each other for all this time. Great to see you both.
You too.